For years, audiences across America have watched Euphoria push television to places many people never expected mainstream entertainment would dare to go. The show didn't just become another teen drama. It became a cultural flashpoint, a lightning rod, a series that sparked arguments at dinner tables, on college campuses, across social media, and inside Hollywood itself. Some viewers called it brilliant. Others called it disturbing. But almost everyone agreed on one thing: nobody could look away. And now, according to creator Sam Levinson, things are about to become even more chaotic. That single phrase alone has sent shockwaves through the fanbase of a series already known for emotional destruction, addiction, violence, betrayal, heartbreak, identity crises, and psychological collapse. Because when the creator of one of television's most intense modern dramas warns audiences that the next season will go even further, fans immediately start asking the same question: how much darker can this story actually get? After years of delays, controversy, cast scheduling conflicts, rumors about rewrites, and growing speculation about whether the show had lost momentum, Season 3 of Euphoria is suddenly becoming one of the most anticipated television events in America again. And this time, the stakes feel dramatically different. The cast members who helped turn the series into a phenomenon are no longer rising stars. Many of them are now global celebrities. Zendaya has become one of the most influential actresses in Hollywood. Sydney Sweeney has exploded into mainstream stardom. Jacob Elordi has transformed into one of the industry's most sought-after actors. And behind the scenes, pressure on the franchise has intensified with every passing year. But here's the bigger question haunting fans tonight: can the chaos that made the show famous still shock America in 2026? Or has the conversation around the series fundamentally changed? Because this is no longer just a story about teenagers navigating trauma. It's now about the future of prestige television itself. It's about whether audiences still crave emotionally brutal storytelling in an era increasingly defined by backlash, outrage cycles, and cultural fatigue. And if Sam Levinson truly intends to raise the intensity again, then season May 3rd become the most controversial chapter yet. When Euphoria first premiered on HBO in 2019, few people predicted how deeply it would penetrate American culture. The series arrived during a moment when television audiences were already gravitating toward darker, psychologically layered storytelling. Yet, even in that environment, the show felt radically different. Inspired by the Israeli series of the same name, the American adaptation immediately separated itself through its visual style, emotional extremity, and unapologetically raw depiction of addiction, sexuality, anxiety, identity, and self-destruction. The camera work felt hypnotic. The soundtrack became iconic. The makeup and fashion trends spread across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at a speed that stunned even industry executives. But beneath the glittering visuals and viral aesthetics was something much heavier. At the center of the story stood Rue Bennett, portrayed by Zendaya, a teenager struggling with severe addiction and emotional instability after the death of her father. Rue quickly became one of television's most emotionally devastating protagonists. Audiences watched her spiral repeatedly through relapse, dishonesty, desperation, and self-destruction. Yet viewers also saw vulnerability, intelligence, humor, and pain beneath the chaos. That complexity became the emotional engine of the series. Meanwhile, other characters explored different forms of instability. Cassie battled identity and validation issues. Nate represented toxic masculinity and buried rage. Jules navigated love, identity, and emotional isolation. Fesco brought unexpected emotional depth to what initially appeared to be a stereotypical criminal character. Maddie embodied confidence while masking insecurity and trauma beneath the surface. The result was a show that constantly forced viewers into uncomfortable emotional territory. But from the very beginning, controversy followed closely behind. Critics accused the series of glamorizing drug abuse and reckless behavior. Parents groups argued the show normalized dangerous lifestyles for younger audiences. Mental health advocates debated whether the series responsibly portrayed addiction or sensationalized it for entertainment value. Some praised its honesty. Others feared its influence. And ironically, those controversies only fueled its popularity. In the social media era, outrage often functions as marketing. Every debate about Euphoria generated more visibility. Clips spread virally online. Think pieces flooded entertainment media. Reaction videos exploded across YouTube. Suddenly, watching the show became almost culturally mandatory among younger audiences. Then came the pandemic. COVID-19 disrupted virtually every major television production in Hollywood, and Euphoria was no exception. But instead of disappearing entirely, the series released special episodes focused heavily on Rue and Jules. Those quieter, emotionally intimate episodes demonstrated that the show could function even without its usual sensory overload. When Season 2 finally arrived in 2022, expectations were enormous. And Season 2 delivered chaos on a scale that few television dramas attempt. The second season intensified nearly every element that made the show controversial. Rue's addiction storyline became darker and more frightening. Relationships imploded. Violence escalated. Betrayals multiplied. Emotionally brutal confrontations dominated social media conversations for weeks. One episode in particular, focused on Rue's devastating withdrawal spiral, generated enormous praise for Zendaya. Critics called it one of the strongest television performances of the decade. Awards recognition followed. Her career reached another level entirely. Yet, even as ratings soared, behind-the-scenes rumors began surfacing. Reports emerged suggesting creative tensions during production. Some cast members allegedly questioned character arcs. Others reportedly struggled with the emotionally exhausting filming process. Internet speculation intensified regarding script changes and production instability. While much of the rumor mill remained unverified, the public conversation surrounding the series increasingly expanded beyond the show itself. Then tragedy struck the fan community. The death of Angus Cloud in 2023 deeply affected audiences and cast members alike. Cloud, who portrayed Fesco, had become one of the most beloved figures associated with the series. His death created enormous uncertainty regarding the future emotional direction of the show. Fans mourn not only the actor himself, but also the unfinished narrative potential surrounding his character. As delays continued, skepticism about Season 3 grew stronger. Some viewers wondered whether the long gap between seasons would permanently damage momentum. Others questioned whether the cast's exploding careers would make scheduling impossible. Meanwhile, the entertainment industry itself was shifting rapidly. Streaming economics changed. Audience behavior evolved. Social media discourse became even more polarized. And Hollywood's tolerance for risky prestige dramas began fluctuating amid financial pressures and political controversies. In that environment, Sam Levinson faced mounting pressure unlike anything surrounding the first season. Because now, expectations are almost impossible to satisfy. Fans want emotional intensity. Critics demand narrative coherence. Executives want ratings. Social media wants controversy. The cast wants meaningful material. And the culture itself has become more sensitive to conversations about mental health, exploitation, trauma, and representation. That's the environment into which Season 3 is now preparing to enter. The renewed frenzy surrounding Euphoria intensified after comments from Sam Levinson suggested the upcoming season would push the series into even more chaotic territory. While Levinson has often described the show using emotionally charged language, this latest wave of comments landed differently because fans already believed the previous seasons operated at emotional maximum capacity. So when the creator hints at escalation, viewers naturally assume something major is coming. Reports surrounding the upcoming season indicate that the creative direction may involve significant tonal evolution. Industry speculation has increasingly pointed toward a time jump that would move characters beyond their high school years. That possibility alone could dramatically alter the structure and emotional stakes of the series. A post-high school setting would allow the show to explore adult consequences rather than adolescent recklessness alone. Addiction, financial instability, fame, toxic relationships, and identity crises could take on entirely different dimensions once the protective illusion of teenage invincibility disappears. And many fans believe that may be exactly where Levinson intends to go. Part of the intrigue surrounding Season 3 comes from uncertainty itself. Unlike many modern franchises that aggressively tease plot details months in advance, Euphoria often thrives on emotional unpredictability. The show's power partly comes from viewers never fully knowing which character might collapse next. That unpredictability creates extraordinary online engagement. Every leaked set photo becomes headline news. Every cast interview sparks speculation. Every vague comment from production insiders generates thousands of theories across TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, and X. Some fans believe Rue's sobriety journey could become even more unstable. Others suspect Cassie's emotional unraveling will intensify further. Many continue wondering whether Nate Jacobs will finally face meaningful consequences for his behavior or descend even deeper into psychological darkness. And then there's the larger question looming over everything. How will the show address grief after the loss of Angus Cloud? That issue carries enormous emotional weight both inside and outside the story itself. Entertainment analysts note that few television productions face circumstances quite like this. The emotional attachment audiences develop toward Fesco means the absence will likely shape the emotional atmosphere of the entire season regardless of narrative decisions. At the same time, HBO reportedly still views the franchise as one of its most culturally valuable properties. Despite delays and controversies, the show maintains remarkable social media influence compared to most television dramas. Financially, however, the stakes are equally significant. In today's entertainment industry, genuinely conversation-dominating dramas are increasingly rare. Fragmented audiences mean fewer shows achieve universal cultural visibility. Yet Euphoria still possesses unusual ability to dominate social feeds, entertainment headlines, and youth culture conversations simultaneously. That level of engagement is extremely valuable to streaming platforms competing for subscriber attention. Industry observers also note that the cast's rising fame creates a double-edged sword. On one hand, global celebrity status boosts visibility and marketing power. On the other hand, audience perception changes once actors become massive stars outside the show. Maintaining emotional immersion becomes more difficult when viewers increasingly associate performers with fashion campaigns, blockbuster films, award shows, and tabloid coverage. Still, many analysts believe the franchise's biggest strength remains emotional intensity. Even critics who dislike aspects of the show often admit it evokes unusually strong audience reactions. People cry watching it, argue about it, analyze it obsessively, debate it endlessly online. In a media ecosystem flooded with forgettable content, emotional impact itself becomes a competitive advantage. Few television series in modern history have generated online discourse quite like Euphoria. The show essentially became engineered for the social media era, even if unintentionally. Every episode produces reaction clips. Every confrontation becomes meme material. Every emotional breakdown generates think pieces and TikTok analyses. Fashion inspired by the series dominates makeup tutorials and Instagram aesthetics. Entire YouTube channels built audiences simply discussing theories and character psychology. And now, anticipation for Season 3 is reigniting that machine again. Across social platforms, reactions to Sam Levinson's comments about increasing chaos have been sharply divided. Some fans are thrilled. They argue that the series became iconic precisely because it refused to play safe. For those viewers, emotional extremity represents authenticity. They want shocking storytelling, unpredictable outcomes, devastating emotional moments that linger long after episodes end. Others are far more cautious. Some longtime viewers worry the show could become self-parody if it pushes intensity without restraint. Critics online increasingly argue that modern television sometimes mistakes trauma escalation for narrative depth. According to those viewers, Season 3 must offer genuine emotional evolution rather than simply amplifying destruction. Meanwhile, fan theories continue spreading at astonishing speed. Will Rue remain sober? Will Jules and Rue reconnect emotionally? Will Nate finally implode completely? Could entirely new characters reshape the story? Will the series become darker after the time jump? Could major characters die? Every possibility becomes content online. This social media ecosystem creates extraordinary pressure on creators because expectations become impossible to control. Fans collectively build imagined versions of future seasons long before episodes air, and once audiences emotionally invest in theories, disappointment becomes almost inevitable for some segment of viewers. Still, controversy fuels visibility, and visibility fuels relevance. That dynamic explains why even criticism surrounding Euphoria often strengthens its cultural power rather than weakening it. The future of Euphoria may ultimately depend on whether Season 3 successfully balances escalation with emotional maturity. If the show merely becomes louder, darker, and more chaotic without deeper substance, critics may conclude the franchise has reached creative exhaustion. But if Sam Levinson successfully transforms the series into a more mature exploration of adulthood, addiction, trauma, and survival, the show could evolve into something even more culturally significant. That possibility explains why Hollywood is watching closely, because the outcome may influence broader industry trends. If Season 3 succeeds commercially and critically, networks and streaming platforms may continue investing in emotionally daring prestige dramas. If it fails, executives could become even more cautious about expensive, controversial storytelling projects. There's also the question of franchise longevity. Could Euphoria survive beyond Season 3? Would audiences remain engaged long-term? Could spin-offs emerge? Or is the series approaching a natural ending point emotionally and creatively? Right now, nobody outside the production truly knows. But what's undeniable is this: the stakes surrounding the next season are dramatically higher than before. The cast members have become megastars. The audience expectations are enormous. The cultural conversation around mental health has evolved, and the emotional legacy of the series has grown increasingly complicated. That means Season 3 won't simply be judged as entertainment. It will be judged as a statement about where modern television culture is heading.